the adults are trained in telepathy, where all the children are indigo, and every yard is a personal vortex of spiritual energy that they would love to share with you. Where the SIA, now I have to explain the SIA. The SIA is this very secret organization. It's the Sedona Intelligence Agency. It functions very similar to the NSA and the CIA, except we only collect those things that are wonderful and positive and beautiful to share. However, we do some things that the CIA and NSA do. We collect information from you without your permission. Now I'm going to tell you how we do that. It's all for the cause of good, don't worry. In 2012, we were sitting on our porch patio, and we were contemplating all the changes that were to come from 2012, that were widely promoted in the media and various other ways. So we're thinking, well, you know, we really feel there are all of these incredible changes going on, but you know, and then over on the other side of Thunder Mountain, we saw this blue energy, pulsing light. We thought, what is that? And it got brighter, and it pulsed stronger, and finally it came around the mountain and started going up the following Oak Creek, and then it made a right turn, and it came directly in front of us. It was about a 6-foot wide orb of pulsing blue violet light. And we're going, oh my God, this is a UFO, something from another dimension. So we're looking at it and wondering, well, what's next? Well, we're not afraid. I've seen pulsing blue lights before, but never one so close. And so all of a sudden, a beam came out of it and shot down onto the patio there, and a box appeared, and it was gift wrapped. And on it, in English. So right now we're not afraid, because it's written in English. Of course, that makes you completely not afraid. And we said, well, let's open it up. It says open. So we opened it up, and there was a little tiny black box with a switch on it that says, turn me on. And then there was a little book next to it that says, well, if you want to know what will happen when you turn it on, read this. So it was very simple instructions. So what happens, we turn it on. We turn it on every night. This is how we get information from you. You don't know. But it goes out in a 25-mile radius around Sedona, and it records and collects all the dreams that happen in Sedona. Just like the NSA and the CIA are collecting your internet stuff. We collect your dreams, and then we run them through filters, just like the intelligence people. But we're looking for dreams that have answers. Answers to peace, answers to love, answers to compassion, answers to joy, answers to harmony in the world. And so now you say, well, how do you use them? Okay, well, here's the secret. We have agents, hundreds, millions of agents. I'm sounding like Donald Trump. Millions and millions of agents all over the world working for us in great love and joy. And who are these agents? Well, I can disclose who they are, not by name, but I can disclose by profession. They are the artists. They are the dancers. They are the singers. They're the painters, the sculptors, the poets, the playwrights, the actors. They're all these people that are pouring creative energy into the world and making a difference. And so this connects us all. And so this is how change happens in the world in a creative way. So that's what the SIA is about. And you may be an agent without knowing it, but now you've been disclosed, so be careful. what do we do here on this show? Actually, I always have to introduce what the current theme is. It's called Treasures of Brother Raven. And I started working with Brother Raven as a result of my father, who always painted crows. And he was influenced to paint crows by an ancient Japanese priest who lived in the 14th century, and his name was EQ. And EQ was called Crazy Crow, Crazy Crowd. And he was called that because he used to go out in the morning in a rowboat before dawn and drift in Lake Biwa. And in Lake Biwa, he'd be drifting there deep in his meditation. And one morning, as the sun was just peeking over the hills, shining golden light onto the lake and onto him, a crow flew over his head and said, "Ha, ha, ha." And in that moment, he knew the crow, the sun, the lake, the light, and himself were all one. And that's how he got his big enlightenment and taught it. The other great thing about EQ, this is a sidetrack, not from the crows, but, well, it sort of is, because the crow is considered the sister of the family, the Corvus family in native tradition. So what he thought, what he did, was he was in Japan. Japan in the 14th century was not a place where women were raised up, right?
Yeah.
So the cool thing is he wrote what he called the Red Line Sutra doctrine. And it was that women were the closest to the deity, to the Godhead, because they birthed all life into the planet. And it was a radical thing. And he caused lots of stirs by it, of course. So that's EQ. That's how I started thinking about crows as paintings. And I painted ravens because my father painted crows and we didn't want to compete. And Raven is the brother. And once I started doing that, I sort of, all these ravens kept visiting me all the time. And even here in Tlaquepaque, when I have my studio up there painting, the crow that would follow me from my house in West Sedona to the top of the studio and peck on the top of the gutter there and say, "I'm here, give me a reward, I followed you here." So we have a really deep relationship with the crows, and we love them so much. And we always talk about here on our First Friday talks about science, art, and nature and how they go together. And I'm getting it down into a nutshell. Art, the origin of art, is the first humans that saw something that was so important to them that they had to record it. And they recorded it on the walls and in the rocks and in the caves and on their pottery, when they had pottery. This is before pottery. And so this was the beginning, and they saw something in nature, and they saw something in themselves, and a connection between them and nature, and this is the beginning of art. And from that, interestingly enough, if you go into the word art, and the word comes science, better yet the word science. Science is the watching how nature grows, how nature grows things. The Greek word phusis is to watch the way things grow. Well, that evolved. Everybody was watching, and then they started recording it in pictures and symbols and characters. Symbolic language was born through art, and then it became the science. And now science, of course, has many languages, including mathematics, and it's all connected to what art is, and then art comes from watching nature and recording it. And science comes from the knowledge that we've gained to be able to pass on to each other through generations. And it grows and it grows and it grows. And we always say science can be used two ways, like everything in life. So we always are praying and wishing that it is used with a positive energy to make suffering less in the world. And we're working on it. So we'll go from there right into the science, the poetry part, yeah. Let's see, well, my wife seems to let out the thing here. I always have to also say, because I use the word consciousness all the time in my poetry and that, and we know that words are really individual experiences translated. So when I say a word, it means something different to all of everyone through their own experiences. So I like to say consciousness is when your heart's beating. You don't have to think about it. It goes and it goes and it goes. Awakened consciousness is when you listen to your heart. And you know it's your heart, and you're listening to it, and you're not only are listening to it, you're very glad it's beating, and you give thanks for it to beating. So the difference between consciousness and awakened consciousness is being aware of the present moment and what's happening in it. So this hopefully will help you understand some of the ideas that come through the poetry. So since the show is named Brother Treasures of the Brother Raven, we start out with my new poem called My Corvus Counsel. Brother Raven, Sister Crow, Mother Magpie, Father Jay, every day you teach in your invisible, mystical, magical, avian way. Your wisdom, your compassion are your truth. Your voices so very songful, harmonious and pure, always protecting the Dharma, the teachings of nature's heart. Your laugh, your cry, always apparent, is your constant play. The tools you fashion, always with a purpose, to help one another on your way. You mate for life. For the young and old, you always care. In your sacred day, each of you clean up what others have left behind. Your treasures are all the things you find. Your present moment, conscious awareness, I wish humans could find instead of the ignorance of every kind. If they could just be as smart as the birds. And I always, when I write that, I think they always called people bird brains as a put down. Sorry. You didn't know what you were saying. Well, this one kind of goes with it because it's thinking about the preciousness of life in our human birth. And it's called Precious Human Birth. Dance, dance, dance. Silver turns to gold. Life is too precious not to just let it unfold. Your path, my path, all paths going one way. The unfolding, the novelty, the habits, the pleasures and the pains all remain. Watch them now in their personal display. Got one for each of you if you wish to play the game. If you don't, the game gets serious. Learn to laugh, learn to fly, learn to have deep understanding, learn to have love, learn to have peace, learn to have compassion, learn to have joy, learn to have happiness and joy, knowing that sooner or later we shall all die. Okay, now I'm going to go to something I never thought I would do, and that was write poems about the elections. They're not that poetic, except for this one. And we all are experiencing this incredible, mind-boggling thing that is just like making me like, okay, I have to write a poem. It will be an antidote to the upheaval that I'm experiencing. So here it is, the first one, and it gets more intense in the second one. Election, because this is what's happening, it's getting more intense. Election 216. Backwards, forwards, over, under, upside down. This electron's got my electrons wildly spinning around. Exciting the pyramid cells in my cortex. I think we're all moving into some kind of wild vortex. Making choices, you know, it's not so great when you don't have a candidate. Now raising energy, now raising hope, now raising love, now raising compassion and joy, now raising peace, now not raising fear. Whatever happens, our hearts will know responsibility begins with each and every soul. Only there can harmony be found in every heart, in your heart. Embrace it and know it. It is your gyroscope of choice and inner peace, allowing the wisdom of experience to grow, finding the oneness the electorate does not know. Okay, had to get that off my chest. Okay, now, and so it got really even crazier, right? So, as we know, I don't think it's reached its peak yet, but I have a visual aid here that, let's see if I can stand it up there. Oh, yeah. Okay, this goes sort of with this poem, believe it or not. This poem, this election poem, is called Unleash the Beast. Unleash the beast, evil genie, out of the bottle. Legions of demons, legions of negative emotions pouring out of Pandora's box. It was opened in fear. It was opened in ignorance and jealousy and hate. The emotional plague, it's gone super viral. It's gone epidemic. Justified beheadings, backpack suicide bombers, and artificial intelligence AI assassins, all committed in the name of many gods and religions. Heresy and hypocrisy. You had better look out, democracy. History tells us you don't always last so long. People, get ready. There's a train a-coming in the form of a wave. Oh, it's not a good wave. A wave of sorrow. It's a wave of pain, a wave of suffering and grief. Getting immunity. Now that's the trick. 1 million children know the answer. They're all meditating for peace. They're all meditating for love. They're all meditating for deeper understanding and meditating for compassion. We say teach meditation, teach peace, teach love, teach compassion, teach understanding, teach it to yourself, and then share it every day with everyone in every precious moment of awakened consciousness. All of we can make a difference every day. And that's what keeps us, okay with everything that's going around us. And there's more. There's more here. 'Cause this is the science part of poetry, and that was the political part of poetry. So now we're moving into the science part of poetry. Well, if you didn't become aware of it, most recently, a very interesting thing happened. There's a program that Google created called AlphaGo. And it was designed after they beat all the chess masters. They designed it to beat the Go masters, because the game of Go is more difficult in terms of an artificial intelligence assuming these giant things that haven't happened yet. So it's an AI test. So I wrote a poem about that too. because they beat the Go Master 4 out of 5 times with their software called AlphaGo. And if people don't know it, artificial intelligence is already ruling the world. They're just not letting everybody know yet, and it's getting more and more ruling all the time. And this may not be a bad thing. It can go either way. So here's the poem. Google, 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 AI, 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 AlphaGo, you know, you know, you know. You are coming. Oh yes, you are a-comin', this I know, as I see you beginning to exponentially grow. You know, now you've beat the masters at their own game, chess and go. There's one less game to learn to play. Play it with our hearts. It's called the game of the arts. Poetry, dance, music, painting. You must compose and play. You now have to learn the values of the heart that lead to the transcendent, awakened, compassional as a final lesson on your part. More science. Okay, this one I love because most people don't, hopefully some of you do, but most people don't really tune into all the science stuff that's going on. Well, there's a thing out called the CRISPR, and it is not the bottom shelf in your refrigerator. The CRISPR is a genetic tool of manipulation, of cutting up genetic material and recombining it in forms that have never existed before. And this particular tool, the CRISPR, has made it very efficient and easy for those that have the means to make all kinds of changes in life. So here comes the CRISPR. Whisper, whisper, here comes the CRISPR. Are you ready for the change? Life's now a chess game. All the players are no longer the same. Who's to credit? Who's to blame? Another trophy in the game. We wonder and we wonder. We are nature, are we not? Well, let's give it a final say. Our species will either live and die, and we'll probably really never know why. Okay, I'm gonna do one more kind of strong, not completely strong, but more about, I'm a symbolist painter. All the paintings that I paint, this by the way is the Million Children Meditating. All the paintings that I paint carry symbols, and those symbols can carry the meanings that can convey messages that relate to the heart. And they're all part of this, from the very first guys who scratched on the wall to us having art galleries and conveying messages of the antiquities through modern symbols and presentations is what we do. So I wrote a poem called Language of the Symbols. Listening to the oracle's message, strange sounds of multi-dimensional spinning symbols, symmetrical magic, whirling winds, whispering. It's a language of the invisible domains of the indivisible oneness that we are. Octave shifts, dancing in the ascending spiral of awakening consciousness, slowing it down to the present moment time. Claritas, integritas, consonatia, radiance, wholeness, and harmony. That's the mantra of the oracle. I understand more deeply now. You're symbols of nature's heart. I'm grateful for your message, woven into the essence of our souls. the soul of the earth, the soul of the moon, the soul of the sun, the soul of all suns, the soul of all space and time and no space and time, the soul of the universe and the soul of all universes as it embraces us with equanimity and love. There's nothing out there that we're not connected to. That's what science has shown us. Okay, I'm gonna go into something a little lighter. It's called moonlight. Moonlight is looking bright, coming up over that big hill. Venus and Jupiter, they're appearing on both left and right, setting the tone for the night. Now just waiting for that big old moon to fill me up with the beauty of its luminous light. It is so equanimous in its sacred radiant glow, sometimes with a halo in a rainbow circle we love to embrace and know. We just had one the other night. Rainbows around the moon, we like that a lot. No, I had this one that I was supposed to read. There's a painting that I brought in tonight, and Crystal would like to have it here and show it to you. It's over there on that wall there. It's called She Who Reveals the Master of the Nine Realms. There's a here she comes. Here, come on. This is Crystal. This is the other part of the team here, most important. This is the little paint. This painting, 37 years ago I started. It was very difficult to finish. But I didn't paint on it every day, I must tell you. I only painted on it. There it is, hold it there, yeah. So it's called She Who Reveals the Master of the Nine Realms. Strange landscape, dreamscape, master of the nine realms, electromagnetic, pulsing, 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 heartbeats, heartbeats, heartbeats. The crystal, inside the crystal, inside the crystal. Energy moving, rotating, 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 as patterns emerge in shimmering energy, energy, energy. Nothing is ever lost. It only changes states of infinite patterns, dancing, dancing, and dancing in great circles of the wholeness, harmony, and radiance. Now transcending sorrows, all the sorrows of the world. Smile, smile, and smile again. Okay, we're going to go to more lightness again here. It's called The Sound of Early Spring Winds. And we love the early spring winds here in Sedona because they really bring in the first breath of summer, alternating with cold. The sound of early spring winds, singing with harmony, with the life force, with the sun's gift, with the earth's gift, with the galactic gift, with the universal gift. It's another sweet song. Young leaves, like gemstones, they're dancing in the light. Their message is of renewal and rebirth. And it's as ancient as creation itself. Go dance with those leaves. Dance with those trees. Dance with those first flowers of spring. Remember, embrace them in gratitude. the sound of those warm winds of early spring as they dance through juniper and pine. Oh. That's this year. That's what happens when you live in Sedona and you get out there and just open up. It comes right in. Everybody should try it. It's not that hard. Okay, now this is a poem that goes to my Japanese, Eastern. My father lived in Japan for many, many years, so I became versed in many Japanese traditions and spiritual traditions. And the one tradition that is very close to our Native American tradition is Shintoism, because it was based all on nature and understanding nature, much like our science. And everything is alive. Their belief is every rock, every tree, every stone, every speck of dust, everything. In fact, in Japan, most of the fairy tales are about things, objects that come alive and have an adventure. Because they're imbued with our imagination and our creative minds to give them life. And then in nature itself, we know they're all alive. So this poem is called Kami-sama's living in nature's heart. And the kamis were all the deities that lived in nature. Everything, 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 everything is alive. Everything is alive, and it's also intelligent. Intelligent, I say. The microbes, the insects, the plants, the trees, the rocks, every grain of sand and dust, the mountains, the hills, the creeks, the streams, the rivers, the glaciers, the lakes, the oceans, the earth, the atmospheres, the moons, the sun, and all the 100 billion stars in our Milky Way. And there are 100 billion planets in the Milky Way, and then, 100 billion galaxies just like ours. All together, all connected, all alive, and all interconnected and interconnected to each and every one of us. All our miracles, all are mythic, and they all hold the mysteries that are way, way, way beyond our understanding and experience. And we are so grateful and joyous to receive all the treasures from the heart of nature's heart. Well, we have a little more time. I'm not supposed to overdo it. So, one of my favorite, we're getting close here. I'm almost going through the whole thing. It's good. This one was written for Valentine's Day because, we had the original Valentine show here called The Original Valentine, A Gift from Nature's Heart. So this is the original Valentine, A Gift from Nature's Heart. It's an equanimous gift for all to receive. It's a birthright, and it's a blessing. It's a breath, and it's a heartbeat. It's a bloodstream, and it's a light stream. It's a love stream, spinning and spiraling from the center of the great Mother Earth. There in its heart, an iron crystal cauldron, radiant at its core, driving energy of the life force. There's great linkage with grandfather and grandmother's son, resonating and vibrating up through rock and molten stone, pushing and pulsing the heartbeat, the earth beat, raising mountains, churning oceans, shielding and protecting us from the cosmic rays of ancient exploding stars. We are blessed with trees, blessed with all the plants of medicine and food, blessed with the animals, brothers and sisters, the greatest gift of all from nature's heart to you, awakening compassionate consciousness. There in the garden of your own heart, nature has left a valentine for you. Your precious human birth. Embrace it with gratitude and joy. Okay, and then as sort of the last thing we do is we say, it's so important to know that we each are responsible for our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our speech. And the more love, the more compassion, the more sharing, the more caring, the more understanding that we can develop, each one of us, and spew it out in whatever form. It is a measurable energy, and it really makes a difference. I always wake up in the morning because I'm optimistic, but I'm also a realist. And I go, good job. All the goodness we put in the world, we're still here. And I believe that's true. And I think that each and every one of us is kind of on a similar page, trying to make life a better place. And as our great teacher, Joseph Campbell, says, the best thing we can do is to participate joyfully in the sorrows of the world. Be a beacon of hope and light and happiness, and everyone will benefit, including yourself. All right, thank you so much. That's the program for tonight. We are so happy that you came and shared with us.